Okay, little background, little BTS. Hi, everybody. Madeline is joining us, and we're going to talk about those easy, delicious, simple elixirs that you can start incorporating into your kitchen witching so you can just have a more easeful, balanced experience with your womb cycle. Madeline is such a wise, wise woman when it comes to guiding you in nourishment for your body, in nutritional support for your body. And she's going to be giving you some different kinds of tips and tricks and inspiration that you can take away from this live today. Support yourself holistically with the incredible, affordable medicine of Mother Nature that is all around you.
Hello.
Hello, Madeline. So
Hello.
nice to see you.
Good to
And
see
we
you
met at Wild
too.
Roses Festival 2 summers ago, the first annual. The third annual, everybody, is in less than a month. So shout out to Wild Roses, where you and I are going to be in person again.
Yes.
To hug you and see you, my beautiful fellow Wild Rose from Alberta. And we're going to be chatting today about healing elixirs, about what it means to actually support your health and your vitality and your healing through food, through nutrition, through the medicine of the earth. I can't wait for all of these women out here to learn a little bit more from you and just really come familiar with your incredible offering, your wonderful cookbook that they can purchase and buy to learn about their body and to have just such a convenient assortment of delicious, healthy meals that they can experiment with making themselves over the summer. So welcome. And then we'll chat about how cycle charting is also a valuable tool for your healing. And both of us are offering some really extensive, generous teachings in a bundle this week called the Cyclical Woman Collection. And you can find the links for that in either one of our bios. So welcome, dear one.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have this conversation. I think that I love your work. I love what you do. I'm excited to hear more about your course as well. Cervical mucus is actually so important, and I'm excited to have a conversation because I don't think enough people talk about it, and I think it's the most important cycle track metric out there. Yeah, awesome. So we met at the Wild Roses Festival, and yeah, I'd love to share more about the elixirs. I've been teaching elixir crafting for women's hormone balance for over 10 years.
What a cool job.
Yeah, it's been, yeah, I know, right? So I've traveled around like a lot of places in Alberta and BC teaching this class, and then a few years into it, I decided, okay, let's do it. I'm going to do an online course, and just so more people can learn how to make the elixirs and the tonics, and just put it all down in video and just make some beautiful PDFs. So that's one of those main offerings that I'm really excited to share.
Yes, and why don't you tell us right now, what are a few of your favorite herbal allies, a few of your favorite plants that you love to incorporate into your womb care? And what is if you just have any thoughts or musings about just the beautiful connection between, using the plants of the earth to support our hormone healing?
Yeah, plants are really quite remarkable when it comes to our hormone health, just because they're very balancing for the body. So often, when a lot of people go and want to start working on their hormones, or they want to start balancing menstrual health, often what can happen is you can end up going to a practitioner and get on like a long list of supplements. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where
my cabinet, and I'm like, it's the graveyard of abandoned supplements. It's just like all these bottles that I've been prescribed or tried over the years. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the supplement graveyard. Oh, my fire alarm
Fire
is going
element.
off
I
right now,
love
but
it.
I'm sure my fiance is going to turn it off right away.
Fire element. I love it. You inspired me to burn a little beautiful sage here.
Yeah. Sometimes when the smoke goes up a little bit,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see him turning it off. Okay. So it's sometimes when people have showers, just the
Ooh.
steam of the shower just
Yeah.
sets off the alarm. um, but yeah, so the supplement graveyard, and that approach can work for some people, but there's a lot of people that don't like taking supplements. They don't like feeling like they're taking a long list
Yeah.
of pills, essentially. And supplements can be good for the right people, but there's a lot of people that just would rather
Mm-hmm.
food and then herbal medicine. So I think using herbs in a form of like an elixir, which is a warm herbal drink that you actually
Mm-hmm.
make taste good, can be
Oh
so
yeah.
much more accessible,
Yeah.
and it can be more effective because you
Yeah.
can really synergize it and make sure it
Yeah.
can work fully for your body. So I love the elixirs and herbs for that because they're amazing for harmonizing hormones. And there's different herbs that have
Mm-hmm.
really help certain hormones like progesterone, estrogen. One of my favorite herbs is shatavari.
No.
Have you heard of that herb? Yeah, shatavari is a Ayurvedic herb, and in Sanskrit, it actually translates as "she who has a
Wow.
hundred husbands."
Beautiful.
Yeah. So if you hear that, you can kind of get an idea of what it's good for, but it has a real affinity for the womb. It's a really moisturizing, so it's what we call a moistening herb. So it helps with like
Love
all the
that.
juiciness,
Please
so it
DM
helps
me
with,
that. Please
yeah,
DM me that word after so I can actually write it in the
I
caption for
will.
everybody because that sounds like a herb that I'm about to
Yes.
learn a lot more about. That sounds incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an amazing herb, and for anybody that notices they have more dry skin or that
Yeah.
they just feel like just dried up, it's really helpful, and it's really great for balancing, yeah, menstrual. It just works for so many different things. So it's going to help with like heavy periods, menstrual pain, fertility. It's a huge fertility boosting herb, but it also has an affinity towards menopause. So I really love putting that in. And the interesting thing is shatavari is best to take in an elixir because traditionally shatavari would be consumed with milk because you need the fat to activate the herbal medicine.
Ooh,
So this was something for like
beautiful.
thousands of years. So when you make an elixir, you're adding some shatavari, and then usually you add some sort of fat and like blend it all together. Like, and that fat could be ghee, coconut, butter, or any type of
Beautiful.
milk,
What I'm
essentially.
what I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling when you speak, because that's really what matters here. What I'm feeling when you speak is this image and this experience of being a woman and like really enjoying the sensual experience itself of creating an elixir
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yes.
ritual and magic behind the creation of these delicious things that you're going to consume in such a mindful way that it just adds to this whole brand new paradigm of us healing our fertility and connecting to our sensuality and our
Mm-hmm.
sexuality like through this sensual experience itself of the way that we care for us. So it's no longer this like medicalized clinical kind of experience. It's really about remembering the magic of really connecting to yourself and enjoying every moment and finding desire and enjoyment in like all of these different moments of your day. And I just love that as such a beautiful enhancement of like the physical, scientific, medicinal benefits of these different kinds of creations. And I can't believe
Mm-hmm.
we're having this chat today because I want to tell you a little story. I made myself a whole little summer elixir just a few days ago. My cilantro and my
Oh,
dill were going to
really? What did you
seed, and
make?
I just had nothing to do with these like giant bushes of herbs that wouldn't stop growing. So I just went out with my scissors and I totally cut the entire bushes off. I couldn't keep up with how fast they were blooming before going to seed. Threw them in a pot, hot water, boil for 10 minutes, strained it to some lemon, added some grated ginger, a little bit of cucumber in the fridge, and now I've just been having this cooling herbal drink to enjoy all week while the weather is so hot. Mm-hmm.
That sounds incredible. I love the
Mm-hmm.
herbal drinks. In the summer, they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love hibiscus is a really amazing herb to use as well that has an affinity towards the womb, and just a beautiful like iced
Yeah,
hibiscus tea
and I find that they're a
is the
really
best.
amazing summer alternative to drinking. So instead of consuming alcohol all the time, but wanting to welcome in like a beautiful experience of a crafted
Yes.
beverage around 5 o'clock when it's 38 degrees outside, or 28 degrees outside, it's amazing just to be able to have these very nourishing, healthy
Yeah.
alternatives that are just so good to balance our hormones. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about, what that really means when people say balancing hormones, what people might be experiencing if they're having imbalanced hormones. I'm wondering if you could share some of your wisdom around that whole side of
Mm, yeah, definitely. Well, hormones are essentially chemical messengers that actually help the
it.
communication of all of our organs, all of our glands. And when different hormones can go off, essentially what the hormones I look at most are the sex hormones, so estrogen, progesterone, estrogen, and adrenal and thyroid are those hormones. So when those can go off,
Mm-hmm.
it can cause a lot of different uncomfortable symptoms. And there's a wide range of different types of hormone imbalances. And I talk about that pretty extensively in my book about, how you can tell if your hormones are out of balance, which hormone imbalances you have. But usually I am looking first off when I see a client, I'm always looking at their menstrual cycle, because our menstrual cycle can be an incredible tool to teach us about our hormones and tell if something's off. So if there's any abnormalities in terms of a heavier period or a lighter period or an irregular period or PMS symptoms, to me, those can tell me if you have high estrogen, or maybe estrogen is low or progesterone is low. So if we're looking at any sort of irregularity in the menstrual cycle, I would always look at that. And then looking at energy. So looking at, your energy, is there any brain fog? Do you feel, that no matter how much sleep you get, you never feel well rested? Hair is something too. It's really common to have thinning hair for certain hormone imbalances or skin breakouts. So it impacts us on many different levels. But often one thing that I can tell you that a lot of people tell me when they have a hormone imbalance is that they don't feel fully like themselves anymore. So maybe they just notice that, especially in that premenstrual time, they feel like something is off. It's not how it used to be.
Yeah. And
Those are
even
things
with
we
you
want to
saying
look
all
at.
of that, as you were saying that, it was just coming to mind that for me, you know, regardless of whether you're like wondering if you have a hormone imbalance or not, I think about like the mission of my work, which is really to remind women that your cycle can be the most deeply empowering, tool at your fingertips to just remind you of what a capable human being you are. Like, you are a creator of life, and there is no shame to carry at all around our menstrual experiences. And when we're carrying shame, we're walking around with menstrual cramps and IBS and our hair falling out, and we're just deciding that this is part of what it's supposed to feel like to be a woman. And it's like, no, my love, like, being a woman gets to be like a deeply enjoyable experience. Like, connecting to your fertility and your womb gets to be like a deeply exciting relationship you have, where when you think about your yoni, you're not just like, oh, this place that has all these problems, that causes me all these issues, this uterus that is this poorly designed body part that just is constantly causing problems for me. and realizing, no, it's really about remembering that, that your body is alerting you to something bigger, right? That whatever your womb is expressing is a downstream result of something else that is happening in your life holistically. And you know, as you talk about that, I just think about, you know, I'm sure you would agree that fertility awareness method is such an incredible, absolutely invaluable tool in also being able to assess exactly what is going on in your cycle. And I love this conversation that we're having because I feel like I never get to talk enough about the power of fertility awareness method for a tool to monitor your hormone health. Because so often people are so excited, like I am, about charting your cycles to either avoid or achieve pregnancy, that we forget that understanding the biomarkers of our gorgeous ecosystems of fertility is about being able to connect into what is happening inside our body and find out that our body provides these signs for us that are very concrete. Literally seeing if you can have a mucus to feel in your fingertips that is real time in the moment feedback about what is happening inside your ovaries right now. You have a developing follicle, you're approaching ovulation, because that is needed. That hormone is needed in order for your cervix to produce this mucus for you. So by connecting to when we're ovulating and when we're menstruating, we can start to see the times between when those are happening.
Yeah.
And once we have that information, we're able to see what's going on in our health. And then what I love is then we incorporate those elixirs, we incorporate whole eating, we redefine movement in a way that feels good for us. We're finding ways to reduce stress in our life and remember what's really important to us. And as we go on that healing journey, we're like, wow, my charts are reflecting back to me what is supporting me in my feeling, and it's reflecting back to me what is taking me, you know, what is creating more and more dis-ease in my life. And that's, I think, like what fertility awareness method is really about, just as in the broad sense that like every woman needs to know the way her body works.
Yes. I think fertility awareness is that feedback system that we can tap into. And I've been doing fertility awareness in just various types of forms, you know, for probably the last over 10 years. And things just make more sense too. Like even understanding like our libidos, like noticing how our libido can rise and fall at those different times, and noticing cervical mucus, and then being able to observe if there's a cycle where things go off. You know, I've been experimenting a little bit myself with like caffeine and trying to limit and take out caffeine. It has actually been really hard, but I've noticed from caffeine, it actually is causing menstrual headaches for me, you know, and because I track my ovulation, I know that I'm getting a headache. Often I get headaches around ovulation, and then I can get them right before my period. And I've, you know, just went a whole month without coffee and I didn't get any headaches. So it's like those are examples of how we can do that with food, nutrition, elixirs, supplements. We can build that more heightened awareness when we have something to pay attention to.
With what you're talking about and with changing our habits and shifting the way that we want to show up day to day and creating health for ourselves is also the same as that sexual sovereignty piece of fertility awareness method, which is like, oh, like responsibility. It might not be the sexiest word in the world, but it's so deeply important to recenter yourself as the leader of your journey along your womb continuum. That this isn't something that's like happening to you and you're like waiting for the doctors to like give you the answers, or like I'm just cursed, or like I'm sick, or I'm broken. It's like, you know, really creating an intimate relationship with yourself, and through that intimacy getting really honest, having rigorous honesty with the way that you want to show up differently for you, right? And that's why it really is about that deep relationship with yourself. And when you're the one in charge, you know, there is a
Yeah.
level of responsibility that you have to take. But in my group program, Training Shakti, we do work around this and call it blisscipline. Like, what is the bliss that blooms out of the discipline, you know, to really stick with these rituals and habits and routines that we know benefit us. Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah, 100%. Uh, I would love to like chat a little bit more about the
Sure.
cervical mucus. I do notice that a lot of my clients that come to me when they're trying to get pregnant, a lot of them are relying, I personally feel, way too
Yes,
much on
agreed.
LH testing. And I've been tracking my cervical mucus. I've been learning about it myself. And I know that when it comes to fertility, it's like that window when you have
Yeah.
cervical mucus is really when you want to focus on conceiving. And I'm wondering if you could speak about that and the importance of that. And then even going beyond
For
fertility,
sure.
like the benefits and what someone can
Yeah, I
experience.
mean, if someone had told me
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago I'd spend all my time talking about the fluids that our cervix makes, I would have never believed you. And yet here we are. So cervical mucus is the nectar of your yoni. Cervical mucus is the elixir of life that is created by your gorgeous cervix right at the top of your vaginal canal, because our body once a month literally creates this wet fluid that lubricates our vaginal canal, that supports the engorgement of our vaginal tissues as we're approaching ovulation, as we're releasing this fertile egg. And it creates this pool that is essentially sperm food for sperm to live in and survive in for up to 5 days. And outside of the days that we make cervical mucus, we are infertile. You cannot get pregnant if there's no cervical mucus present, because the pH of our vaginal ecosystem on non-mucus days is so acidic that it kills sperm instantly. So we actually require this cervical fluid to be produced while we approach ovulation, so that there's a window in which our species can propagate, because it'd be really, really hard to propagate as a species if we could only get pregnant for 12 to 24 hours once a month, which is the moment of ovulation. So what we do within body literacy and learning to track our mucus is we find out the most important information you need to know in any fertility awareness practice, which is, what is the first day of my fertility? When did my fertile wave begin? Right? When did my fertile wave start? That's the important information you need to both avoid pregnancy and achieve pregnancy. You don't necessarily need to know the exact day you ovulated or when ovulation is about to happen. We want to identify this like healthy wave of beautiful juices, of fluids. And that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about the Ayurvedic herb at the start of how it is really lubricating and moisturizing, and how healthy that would be to support somebody in cervical mucus production. And like, you know, what you teach, there's things we can do within our health, staying hydrated, reducing inflammation, to really support a nice, healthy production of this fertile fluid. So we identify this fertile fluid because it has nowhere to go but down and out of our vulva, presenting on our tissue paper. And you and I both have offerings in the Cyclical Woman bundle, Cyclical Woman collection, that's available till Friday. So I have a whole 3-hour workshop in there about how do you observe your cervical mucus? How do you actually like find it and check it? How do you know to interpret it? So how do you know what it means? Like, some people will say, well, I already see that mucus, but it's like, well, do you know what it means? Do you know how to categorize it into non-peak and peak? Do you know what those words mean? And then also how to chart it. So if you know that this is egg white mucus, or if you know that this is lotiony mucus, do you actually know how to put that on a piece of paper in a systemized chart? So you can be getting familiar with like, what is your normal, what is typical for you, observe how your cycle changes along your healing journey, etc. And then also, if you're seeking to conceive, it's like, that's go time. I had a dear friend of mine that I'm lucky enough to have also gotten to teach FAM, and she was sharing a funny story at a barbecue when I was there. and her girlfriends were all talking about, you know, wanting to become pregnant, or, oh, do you have this test, or do you have this tester kit, or do you have this monitor, or do you have this thing? And she said, no, I don't need any of that. I have Emily. And then she said, well, actually, because I have Emily, now I have myself. And I was like, yeah.
Oh,
And in
that's
that
so
moment, it's like, it
beautiful.
just kind of came out as a bit of a, you know, humorous joke in the moment, to compare having herself compared to all of these
Yeah.
tester kits. But it really was this ability to be like, I don't need to
Yeah.
run to Shoppers and to, you know, spend $20 a month, $40 a month on these test strips that are now just wasted plastic to go into wasteland.
Yeah.
But I can take my fingers and actually put my fingers between my legs, dare I? And I can touch my own genitals, dare I? And I can find out if I am indeed fertile today. Mm-hmm. Through an intimate relationship with
Mm-hmm.
our body. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you speak about it. It's really key. I know a lot of people that are spending, you know, $100, $200 on all various kits. And I think that, data is important. I do hormone testing with my clients, but when you can do that with the cervical mucus, then you
and
learn
when you
so
do
much.
with your cervical mucus, it's both once again like a sensual ritual, and, you know, not overlooking like the power within your psychology if you're seeking to conceive, around what it means to really embrace like that's also sexual, right? Like, this is a sexual experience to be conceiving, and can you really create that deeply respectful relationship with your cervical mucus and with your fluids, that you want to touch yourself as a woman, that you want to get familiar and intimate with that part of the body, right? Which is once again just shifting from that old paradigm of medical into this, you know, reclaimed phase of we get to enjoy our bodies, right? Like, relating to our fertility and what we're going through in our experiences gets to be something enjoyable and not stressful and not fearful. It gets to be beautiful. And I feel the same about those kits. A lot more power in connecting to your body, because then if you connect to your body, you can develop your charting practice further to help you to avoid pregnancy. Also, I think of FEM as this like integrative life skill, right? Monitoring your health, avoiding pregnancy effectively until you want to conceiving, and then having those tools to monitor your irregular cycles postpartum, etc. So much more depth there that we just cannot get from purchasing a kit.
Yeah.
$200 for the kit.
Definitely. Yeah, there's so much we could discuss and talk about. But so for any of you listening, we both have our courses in the Cyclical Women Collection. What is it? Cyclical Women Collection. It's in the link in both of our bios, and it's available only until the end of this week. And it is an incredible resource. I wish, when I started getting into cyclical awareness, menstrual health, like over 10 years ago, if I saw this, I would be like amazed, because I wish there was more resources out there in the past, and now there is. So you have your, I have my Elixirs for Women's Hormone Balance online course with tutorial videos and recipes and a PDF. And then your course is called Fluid, and it's all about cervical mucus and tracking.
Yeah, and then I also have a 20-minute exclusive video in this collection only about tracking and charting your basal body temperature. And a part of what you get from me is you literally get the printouts, like you get the paper charts that you can print out, as well as like some little super nerdy cheat sheets that I've made for you. And then you can print out a cheat sheet and put it beside your toilet and have a little cheat sheet there with you to help you with everything that you learned in the 3-hour cervical mucus workshop, because that's a lot. So after the 3-hour cervical mucus, we'd really distill it down, put something there, and you kind of have exactly those key reminders that you need to have when you're there on the toilet with your toilet paper being like, wait, what did I learn? So it really is a full offering with everything you need to literally start charting fam. And I just want to say, like, it's so beautiful to be able to come together and create a collection like this, because I've been getting some wonderful DMs from women of just like, of them being really honest, I haven't been able to afford a lot of these other workshops that I want to go to and courses I want to do. So the moment they saw this, they really understood that this was a highly accessible offering for everybody to really jump in and get this collection of over 50 different offerings.
Yeah.
And maybe 5 of them are for you. But girl, if you get 5 of them, that alone is like over $1,000, over $2,000 of real content for $97. I think it's over $17,000 in total for the whole collection. So you don't have to have this unrealistic expectation that you're going to do all of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you just can take what you want from it, and everyone's going to be at a different place, and just I love that, just finding those, like, 5 that you would really benefit from. But all the information on all the courses is right on the sales page, so you can go have a look and like look at all those courses that are available. And
and one more thing I know you'll be okay with me letting people know is, if anybody from your audience is watching this, I'm also have 1 more week of accepting applications for my group program, Charting Shakti. So if anybody here is feeling like that's some divine timing, reach out to me, DM me, explore the link in my bio, and come spiral through some sacred sisterhood of really learning the deep, deep science of conscious contraception with fertility awareness method. Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting and meeting, and thanks everyone who tuned in.
And I'll see you at Wild Roses.
See you at the Wild Rose Festival. I can't wait. Okay, bye.